Welcome, everybody. It's your boy, the Versace Stoner, with an episode of Versace Stoner Wrestling. I have a very special trash guest with me,
Disciple feed.
and we're covering Limitless Euphoria.
The 6-year anniversary of Special Versace.
Imagine that, 6 years of limitless history. Like, wow. Kudos to Randy Carver Jr. He has made himself a dynasty here. I mean, we're talking champions like
Well, it
MJF.
did start with MJF if you're saying the word dynasty.
It sure did. That's what I'm saying.
And you got OGs that are still there like MSP, Aggro, and Danger Kid.
AC Romero and more,
Anthony
and
Green.
we will talk all about the action that took place here on this great show. And like I said, I'm very happy that 2021 has been able to get fans back into wrestling.
Absolutely. And I think Limitless, what got me started Versace is the pandemic with their weeklies on the road. You can catch all 3 seasons right on IWTV if you haven't subscribed already. I would highly recommend it, Versace.
Oh yeah, 100%. You watch the road, you watch all those shows that happened in 2020, 2021, everything that happened, and then everything that Randy Carver Jr. put together for us to make us the fans that we are today. And really, it's been a wild ride, but I love it. And let's get right into the card with the opening contest.
The opening contest is a fatal four-way introduction match, introducing four guys. The Ninja Nolo. You got Brad Casher. You got the prize OG Alec Price, and you've got the newly signee of All Elite Wrestling, Mr. Tiger Style Lee Moriarty.
The former IWTV champion before losing it to Wheeler Yuta, probably one of the best technical wrestlers today out there. And yeah, he's always a treat to see. You also did have, like you said, the Prize City OG Alec Price back in action. He had a little
And
time
he
off.
was so cheered from the
He
Limitless
was,
Faithful.
and as I want to talk a little bit about that, unfortunately, whether he wants it or doesn't want it, he is now a baby face. He comes out and the fans are chanting. He can't get away from it. He can try to yell at them. He can try to scream, "The time is now." He can try to give them the finger. They don't care. They cheer louder. He is way over right now. So no matter what this kid does, he's gotten cheers. And that's great because you know what? I've always believed in Alec Price since the very day one, since I've seen that kid wrestle.
And
That
I'm
guy,
really starting to believe in Boston University wrestling standout. He has no problem telling people in Yarmouth that Brad Cashew, he's really going up the ranks. We've seen him. People love him some places. He's despised some places, such as Yarmouth, Maine.
well, yeah, well, the people in Yarmouth, Maine, they're obviously not going to be fans of, a Massachusetts school. But you know what? I have to say, Mr. Cashew, Brad, you're a very smart individual. One of the smartest people in the science department.
Absolutely.
I don't know if he knows about any of that science stuff, but I can see he knows his business. And you know what? He's been impressive every time I've seen him out here. Like I said, I know that they don't really, maybe they're just getting used to him. But again, going back to the fact of Alec Price, people booed him like they booed that kid. And, look at Alec today. So maybe they just got to get to know Brad a little bit better and realize his excellence like they realized about Alec Price. And you also did have that ninja in there, Nolo. Is that his name?
Yeah. That's what it
You know
says.
what? And he was very impressive, quick on his feet. And it
We
was a
saw him at Chaotic team up with the main event.
Yep.
Speaking of main event, we'll talk about them a little later. But
Oh yes, we will. But some big news in the limitless tag division. But yeah, that match was a great way to open up this show. Everybody had a chance, I feel, to showcase their skills against one another.
there were a lot of move sets. There were a lot of submission moves, including Lee Moriarty trying to not only snap Nolo behind his back, but trying to make a Boston Crab to Alec Price and choke holding Brad Cashew all at once. The power of the Tiger style.
Exactly. And we also did get to see, speaking of that, we got to see Lee Moriarty going up against Alec Price 1-on-1. As you know, that match was supposed to happen, and due to Alec being injured, it did not happen. So this was something that we got to see, and that was great. You know what? And at the end of the day, it was the Prize City, picking up this victory and showing that
I
he is
looked at
dominant.
this match before we headed up to Maine on Saturday afternoon, Versace. I was thinking it's an unofficial, not really number one contenders match, but an unofficial who will be next in line for a future Limitless World title shot, who has a ton of momentum. And I think with the Prize City OG, not only did he win, but the certain pledged savior came. He was unannounced. We didn't know if he was going to be at. There were three other New England promotions that day, and I didn't know if he was going to be there, but boy, did he shock people. He attacked the Prize City right when he had his big baby face turn, and he just said that he's the reason why Limitless is there. He's the reason why Randy Carver has his ownership.
Oh yeah, JT Dunn was not a happy camper that he
No
wasn't
one
in.
wanted to take the pledge for Sachi.
Nobody did, and you know what? They were not happy that he was not happy that he wasn't invited to that anniversary show, and for whatever reason, Randy Garber Jr. decided to not go with him. He showed up anyways, and yeah, big man attacks, Alec Price, someone that just worked his ass off in a four-way scramble, and now he has him on the ground, lifeless, making all sorts of
And
threats to
saying no matter
Randy.
where Price is going to go wrestle, whether it's chaotic, beyond, JT Dunn said he'll be there to watch him along the way to make sure he doesn't get what he deserves.
Exactly, and and he said, this is the house that JT built, and you know what? In some aspects, let's cut the shit for a second. JT is a Limitless original. He is. If you go back to 2015, you're gonna see him on cards. You're gonna see him. Yes, there's no doubt about that. Why didn't Randy bring him in? Who knows? He was at the last few shows. Like you said, there was a couple of shows in New England. Who knows? Maybe thought he would be elsewhere. He didn't give him the memo. I don't know. But he showed up, like I said, and now he is in a feud with, I guess, Alec Price. Um, at the end of the day, Price is a smart kid, and he's from the streets. He's not going to take JT shit. Just because the fans are behind him doesn't mean he's still not Alec Price, okay? A month ago, this kid was dangerous. Today, he's still dangerous. He is a very formidable, admirable opponent, and you know what? He almost won Vacation Land Cup. It should have actually been him as champion defending. He got scammed in the three-way battle. AC Romero should have never even been in that. It should have been him and Garcia one on one.
Speaking of
Price
AC, he
Price
came to
owned that.
confront JT Dunn, and the crowd in Yarmouth went wild.
Well, he did. Ace is an OG as well, and he came out to shoo off JT Dunn, and that is when the crowd popped, and we got to see,
AC
that.
Baby Romero versus the artistic crippler with the Limitless World Champion, Red Jeff Daniel Garcia, Kevin Blackwood. This was a really great match. There were a lot of bumps. There were a lot
I
of
always
bodies.
love seeing a Kevin Blackwood match, whether
He
it's
was
here, whether
carrying a
it's
lot of this match. I feel like.
VXS and any of the other promotions that he has been working in. He's always delivers. Okay, he's a great guy. I really became a fan of him over the last year, and I have to say, he always puts on the show. And even after the show, talking to him as a fan, he's one of those wrestlers that's just a really down to earth, cool person. The kind of person you would want to chill with, especially someone like me, Versace. So, I like to chill with cool people, interesting people, and down to earth people. And he was definitely one of them. The people that I met in Limitless along the way that I really like, could say, hey, I relate to this dude, like somebody I could admire. That would be Kevin Blackwood. Not that I'm not saying I'm not a fan of Ace Romero. I've been a fan of AC for a long time. Like I said, he's a Limitless OG. He's
He's a
been there.
former Impact standout
He's
too.
been Impact. He's been AEW. He's been all around. But at the end of the day, you know what? He is also Sako's most
And
favorite
you got his
wrestler.
parents sitting up dedicated to not only his matches but the talent as well. They do a lot to support the scene.
Of course, and this matchup was great. You got the a future Limitless, past Limitless here. You got everybody together. That's exactly what you expect maybe on an anniversary show. And it was a great matchup. And like you said, there was a lot of great spots, bumps, moves, and everything else in this match. And yes, you did have the Limitless World Champion Daniel Garcia
But
outside of the
he
ring.
was trying to distract the ref with Blackwood to hit him with the title, but it was AC Baby hitting getting Blackwood to accidentally hurt Daniel Garcia.
Well, that's the thing. He kicked Garcia, and then it was AC Baby to
The slam,
with the
one,
slam,
two, three.
and
His
that was
pile
it.
driver slam.
And AC picks up the victory. And then, the belittlement starts. Daniel Garcia comes out and starts, and I don't know really what was said. I'm guessing we're gonna see or hear when we actually get to view it on IWTV. But in the ring, in the arena, you could barely hear it, and you could see Garcia though, just like I said, belittling him, yelling at him, "What the hell's wrong with you?" You know, Blackwood trying to show his apology. His hand was slapped away. Like Garcia walked away and left him in the ring like that, and it wasn't good. And I don't know what's gonna happen between these two. These guys were best friends, Buffalo boys, and now I just don't know. But yeah, it wasn't a good scene at the end of that as Blackwood was in the ring alone.
Absolutely, and I think it will pave the way for something later that night. But I'll really give you my thoughts when we cover the main event
Of course.
later. But it is time for the next match on the card, and it is a tag team match featuring one of the OGs. You got MSP, the team of Danger Kid and Aiden Agra with the Vibe versus the Workhorseman JD Drake of AEW with Henry Anthony Henry. And
You
they
know
they
the
used to team in the past in Limitless, and the
they
crowd really missed them.
they
They were
really
so happy.
did. They got a pop. They got a huge pop.
Both these guys were the crowd was so divided on whether to root for MSP or
There was no face or heel scenario here. This was just two great tag teams wrestling each other. And at the end of the day, these are two tag teams. The Workhorsemen, they put together. I mean, we've seen JD Drake wrestle solo for a while now, but in
absolutely,
a tag situation, he is great. And you know what? Him and Henry did an amazing job.
especially with the somersault, moonsaults both those guys
I
done.
I never even could think JD Drake could fly like that.
We know Danger Kid can fly too well.
Those guys I know. I've been watching them for a long time. But this, like I said, but the Horseman I haven't really seen because he said he hasn't been there for a little bit. And like I said though, these guys went at it. MSP Classic Team, they know how to get the fans going. They know how to do the moves. Danger Kid always, delivers. Same thing with Aggro. He really goes, and with the vibe going, the music, everything. It's a total package now. The fans are definitely behind them. But like you said, as it came down to it, they were divided because both teams were loved. And I think, at the end of it, they both had a lot of respect for each other in the ring. That's one thing about MSP. No matter who they fight, they always seem to, at the end, have respect. And they also seem to, gain respect with the
But
team that
it
they
was
wrestle.
them that started the match with going for handshakes and kicking JD Drake.
It was, and that match happened a while back. And it was what the horse the men that won that
Yep, definitely
the
was.
first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, that's
He
right.
won the first one, and then the Horsemen won this one, and
Yep,
they all said there was a post game, not only handshake but speech, and a little shocking with JD Drake. What instead of hugging Danger Kid, they kind of kissed a little bit. The crowd went nuts.
exactly. And that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. The respect. Even though the Workhorsemen won, they still showed respect to MSP. Everybody showed respect to everybody at the end of the day,
And they all want to have a third match, a rubber match down the line.
and they should. Each gotten one and one. So, like I said, I'm a very big fan of this tag division of Limitless. We just got to see where it's gonna go.
Absolutely, and you'll see more in the tag division later that night. Later on this card, we will talk to you on YouTube about what we think about how to rebuild the tag team division in the Pine Tree
Oh, for
State.
sure, for sure. And moving on next.
Next match is a VSW sponsored match, and it is a guy who really got the road started and really makes the Wolf laugh so much. It is a VSW podcast sponsored match, and it's the following stipulation in. If Davy Ann loses, she becomes John Alban Prestigious' little bitch. If Team Davy Ann, the Chris Van Vliet lookalike John Alban, will have to be banned from Limitless for the rest of 2021. And it is the team of the Prestigious, the main attraction, Mac Daniels, Victorious, BRG, the Natural, Shannon Thomas, and making his debut on Yarmouth, John Van Vliet. Oh, I'm so sorry, John Alba, taking on the team of Davey Ann with the leader of the Scrunchy Squad, Becca, and the Sea Stars, Domi XO, and the real catch, Ashley Vox. The crowd was so passionate about that one. John Alba kind of came up in like a fur robe and
Oh, he
had
did.
his
He had it.
eyelashes
He
like a
looked.
football player.
He looked great, and this has been a long time storyline. And that's one thing that the road established was a lot of storylines, and they've continued to captivate us with storylines here in Limitless Maine, and this has been one of the big ones, making Davy great again. John Alba wanting to make Davy great again, getting in her ear, getting people to fight her, um, attacking her friends, all sorts of stuff that
Well,
led up to
the
this
prestige
match.
became prestigious because it was just Mac Daniels and Alba solo on the road, and you have history of Shannon
Well, the
Thomas and
pre
BRG teaming up as the prestige. When they faced the Sea Stars and Rip Bison, that's when this famous comedic trio formed alliances.
They did, yes. But, they, like I said, have been torturing Davy for quite some time now. Then they attacked Becca. Then they attacked these people, and we saw at the last show. They formed the team, and it would be a 4-on-4, and we saw that they formed the team. And that would have been the Sea Stars coming out, and that's who we got on Team Davy. And it was a great matchup. I'm a big fan of both teams actually. Prestigious is as annoying as everybody thinks they are. They're full of a bunch of talented young kids. These kids can all wrestle.
They're all in great shape too.
Independently, they're all great stars. So you put them together, they're even better. You might yes, it's a comedic trio, but they're also very serious wrestlers. Channing Thomas could be champion in any New England promotion.
He was
BRG was.
Goldberg's bodyguard. The man got Goldberg to wrestle more than 2 minutes.
He did. Nobody can do that, okay? BRG, same thing. He was champion in NCW for over a year. I mean, I feel like he's held titles also in New England. Also, Mac Daniels, he's new, yes, to the scene, but I think we're gonna start to see even more of him, and in other promotions as well around New England, and he's gonna open up. I know we were supposed to see him up in Jersey, and he was replaced with Dylan Nix, but there will be other opportunities. These guys can all wrestle singly together. They are really good. Alba, he did okay for his first match in Yarmouth. He wasn't the worst I've seen. I mean, I've seen some other people wrestle.
He tried so hard not to get tagged in.
Exactly.
And when he did, it looked like he was about to cry.
I tell you, he was about as good as my friend that had to wrestle for this show at KPW. This guy, Ref Mikey. He's about on his level. You're still green around the edges, but you're okay. You're not the worst wrestler in the world. That's how I look at Alba, his debut. But yeah, he
But
he
it looked like that prestigious attacked both Delmi Exo, Ashley Vox, and Becca. It looks like the three of them were gained up on Davey. And they had this finisher, Doomsday Device, hitting on Davey. And Davey Ann kicked out, and we all thought it was over. That was the shock scene Randy Carver was trying to give everybody.
I think so. A lot of people thought that was gonna be it, but it wasn't. And Team Davy would prevail and come back even stronger and beat Team Alba, and
And she spared the shit out of Alba
she did.
with the help of Becca and Delmi Exo and Ashley
And you
Vox.
know what? At the end of the day, you know what?
They're all real life best friends, too, so.
Oh, they are on that team, yes, and well, so isn't probably Alba's team, but Alba is now no longer allowed in Limitless Wrestling until 2022.
Not gonna lie, Versace, they are gonna miss him because he provided a lot of good humor on the road. Regardless, he's so funny. He tries so hard not to be recognizable. But he's gonna go with Conrad Thompson and have a great wrestling podcast. He is a huge sports fan too, so he's busy with covering
Well, I'm
baseball.
gonna tell you this: if he thinks we shit on him bad, wait till MJF gets a hold of him.
Who knows? They must know each other well because MJF is a OG of Limitless.
He will still shit on Alba just like we do, except much much worse. Cause I don't think MJF is too much of a fan of Conrad.
Not at all. We know that when he pretended to be Jericho's friend. We know that too well. I don't want to say it, but
But yes. So, and good luck to John Alba. We
good
will
luck,
see you
buddy.
in 2022. We will be there. Don't you worry. And maybe you'll see the Wolf down in Florida because he is going to make a surprise trip down there just to see you to make sure that you're not too lonely.
You know, but who knows, Versace?
Now, at
Ready
the
to move on, my friend.
I am in the next match.
It's a rubber match, and it is a canvas, or whatever they
It
call it,
was
love death
it's
match.
a canvas love death match, and
It
you
is between the icon Ava Everett. This is like a cartoon Arnold and Helga Pataki type feud. And you got, wait for it, Versace, you got Liv Duke.
this has been a great trio of a match. I would say this is this is
It
a
started off
trilogy.
with paintings
It's
of either one of them.
but this is a trilogy. You got to remember, Love Dog picked up his first victory on the road
Like
against Ava
when
Everett,
Davey Ann came and attacked it.
and he put her into, and that was in the Bed of Roses match. Okay, then you had Ava Everett beating him with Mason,
Absolutely.
right?
And they attacked him from competing in
They competed him
vacation
and they torched
when
him,
he
but
did a petition and campaign.
then it's like I said, 1-1. Now this was the one to beat them all, and it was a death match. Now at first, I won't lie, there was a lot of art out there. I
A
didn't know
lot of
how
paintings.
serious of it was gonna be. They put the paintings, they did some
They
things.
had the spears to Ava's head.
Well, then that's what happens when the flowers were used. One flowers had spears in them, and Love Dog put the spears to Ava's head, and the blood started to pour. Ava had roses too, though. When she broke hers open,
They were all obsessed with each other for so
scissors
long.
were inside, and she almost cut his mullet off. He dug the scissors into their head. These people, this was a GCW ultra violence worthy match up here, and these two killed it. And then they pulled out the table with the
With the
barbed
barbed wire
wire.
attached to it.
Are you insane? ECW style. This was crazy. Okay, there was all sorts of weapons being used. They were both bleeding heavily by the end of the match. And it was, though, Love Doug putting Ava through that barbed wire off the top rope onto the outside and claiming the victory and
And
showing
the
that
crowd went nuts and the wolf went wild for
the
some.
wolf went freaking wild. And you know what? Love prevailed. It was a beautiful sight. Love Doug picking up the victory over Ava Everett.
And I hope both of them move on from each other as much as I laughed and loved the feud
I
between
think
the
it's
two.
over. I think Love Doug is
And I
gonna
know
move.
Anthony Green will be happy. He doesn't have to hear about it at home in Florida.
I'm sure. And Love Dog is going to be on to bigger and better
I
things
told
in
him there's
Limitless.
plenty of fish by the sea.
There is. I think he's, with after
Maybe
that
there's a
performance,
lobster he can love.
that with all that performance, I'm sure he's going to find some hardcore love somewhere. But and that was a great matchup. I was very excited to see it. They put it on really well. Limitless did a great job with
And
it.
how ironic, I wanted, but this is the intermission when we were there.
It
But
was.
instead of intermission, I'd like to take this time, Versace, before we talk about the last two matches, to not only promote our Wolfcast, but let's promote the next show. Not only the Harmon Main show, we'll talk about that later, which we won't be able to attend because it's too far on a weeknight for us to drive. But October 21st, I love the name of this. How ironic if Ava and Love Duck were moving on, and Davey and Alba were moving on. It's a perfect name called Fresh Blood. And
Yep.
you'll get to see a lot of the guys we recognize, the Higher Society, Paris Van Dale, and Amani Chaos, helping Randy Carver set up
I
tables
hope
and
so.
some of
I'm
their
hoping we're gonna see.
security
I'm
guards.
hoping we're gonna see some of the newer people that have been helping along, and some of the people that we saw along the road. um, be part of
Because
this
without,
show.
I know they're all happy that they don't have Road because they get to be back at live event. I love that Limitless and Randy's doing live event, but I do miss the weekly format because that helped people like me get into it. And this is a perfect time to temporarily reset new feuds.
Exactly. And also, don't forget KPW has a show October 16th in Tiverton, Rhode Island. And if you're a fan of extreme wrestling, hardcore death matches like that Ava Everett versus Love Dog, you're gonna want to come and check this out. Tickets are on sale on Eventbrite. You can look it up. Rage in the Cage, October 16th by KPW. Doors will open up at 7. Tickets will also be on sale at the door. $10 for general, 15 for front row,
But I heard a
VIP
rumor if
only.
you wait till day of, you're gonna have to pay a little more money.
They might be up in the price day of. I hope not, but if they don't, at least I can say I have my tickets already. But yes, definitely try to get in there. Like I said, if you're a fan of hardcore deathmatch, you're gonna see people like Dirtbag Dan, the guy who trained Joey Janela. You're gonna see the Boston Badass, Steve Savage. You're gonna see Tough
The
Daddy,
River Rat Juggalo.
TJ Tucker. You're gonna see the Sheik. You're going to see Yusuf 13, who just recently won a title in New England. Congrats to him. And many more wrestlers like Havoc and others. At this show, there's going to be glass, there's going to be weapons, there's going to be barbed wire, there's going to be violence, there's going to be blood, there's going to be rage. And that's Rage in the Cage, October 16th. You can find it, like I said, on Eventbrite or show up. Check it out. Check out Crazy Pro Wrestling on Twitter. And also sponsoring that show is someone who actually sponsored our Cruising for a Bruising show. And we'll give him a shout out as well. That is Michael Panchu.
Woo!
He's a local legend, I guess, in his own world. A spiritual success story. And he does
The
great and
motivational
wonderful things.
maniac himself.
Oh yes. And he runs a very cool thing though. He does cool Instagram. You can check him out. It's just like I think it's Michael Panchu. And he's got some cool stuff for sale, some nice CBD products, as well as energy drinks that actually work without the crash. Yeah, he's got all of that there. So definitely check out his stuff, Michael Panchu, Crazy Pro Wrestling. And we're also gonna have episodes of the Beantown Wolfcast.
Woo! Speaking of, the wolf barely got 4 hours of sleep because the wolf went with his family to the New England Patriots game yesterday, and they honored a certain legendary Clutch member, Julian Edelman, star wideout who retired last year after a career-ending injury. See, we catch some of the Robert Kraft halftime ceremony at VSW Podcast. You can check that video out. And there's some shorts of Alvin Kamara, who unfortunately wiped out the Patriots a little yesterday. And we love sports, and part of the Wolves' mission is to bring the wrestling and sports verse, at least in New England, together.
Hell yeah, brother. So I mean, a lot of things going here on this channel. Check it out. Always a lot of new content. And you know what? As we talked about Crazy Pro Wrestling, we actually are the ones streaming that promotion. So on October 16th, if you can't get there live, and you can't get out to Rhode Island, then please stay tuned right here on this channel. You're going to be able to catch all the action with me and Disable
Woo!
behind the commentary.
And you'll get to, we'll divide it up and after the show too, and make it into a little bit of weekly
We are
content.
going to have some weekly content with more bonus features, behind the scene footage, and other stuff, really bringing the Crazy Pro Wrestling wrestlers to life. Can't wait for all that. But yep, that is all happening coming your way. So now back to Limitless Wrestling. And here, we got back from intermission. We've got to meet almost all the wrestlers that wrestled in the beginning of the show, um, which is always a fun part of Limitless. I just want to say because they do all come out. You can meet them, you can talk to them, and it's a pretty cool thing. And everybody's really friendly. But yes, the show must go on, and it started back up with the one they
Call
call
Manders
Manders
versus
versus.
the leader of the grind, Iron Rip Bison.
Yeah, that was two tough son of a bitches going at it.
They were exchanging blows, exchanging
It
slaps.
was a very hard hitting match. No real weapons were used, but it was just a blow by blow,
They were
pound
getting
for
the crowd
pound
going
match.
back and forth, back and forth.
These guys can brawl. These guys can fight. They're insane.
I
And
noticed they like to use Rip Bison after intermission most of the time. They get the crowd riled back up. He's that perfect wrestler to do it. He is one of my favorites on the Limitless Wrestler. He always gives it his all. He's always great to the fans.
I mean, I've been watching Rip for quite some time, and I have to say, I mean, yeah, he was cool as a tag team when he did, but I've really seen him take off as a wrestler now as a singles person, and puts he kills it every time. Um, he does get the crowd wild. He knows how to do it. He has a very strong style of wrestling. It's gonna be very interesting to see how he runs pro wrestling grind. That's gonna be his promotion he's running, and I am looking forward to see that because I am such a fan of his style of wrestling that if he brings that whole to a whole promotion, it's gonna be very intense. And it's going to be something not really seen too often. But yeah, this was a great matchup between him and Manders. Manders is always a pleasure to see. Where did we see him last? At Beyond Wrestling?
Beyond Wrestling, the second show of their pandemic
Yep.
back.
They brought him in, and because he's not local to us here in New
But the
England.
thing I notice about Randy Carver is he'll get a big indie star to rotate every show, like a DeHazen and Alley Cat.
Yep. He's done that. Even the first show back was Jake something. So he does do that, and that's always a great thing to see. And Dan Housen was fun to meet as well. And I did meet Manders at
Seems
the
like a
end of
really
the
cool
show.
guy to
He
get a
was.
drink a beer with, go to a bar.
He was a very cool guy. But yeah, this was like a great heavy hitting match, and it was Iron Rip Bison taking the victory though, and you could hear it. You could hear him. That guy. I think man just had respect for Rip after this match.
And absolutely, this was the right call having Ripwin because folks, if you don't know, if you were there, you know that there's a next Yarmouth show coming October 21st. But the night before, plan a whole weekend of wrestling as you got the debut of the pro wrestling guide grind run by Ripper himself. Please come support him. It's going to be unique to what you're not familiar with in New England, as well as star favorites like the Sea Stars, Alec Price, Davey Ann. Please come out and support him. I believe local road hero Ethan Scott will be doing the ring announcing for that night too. But everyone should make the ride down to Western Mass. If we're gonna do it from the Boston area, you guys should too.
Oh yeah. But yeah, we got all that coming up in October. It's gonna be a wild month of wrestling. Whole lot of wild stuff between that GCW, NCW, and we got a bunch of shows. My God, I can't even think about them all right now. But then, after this, we saw a very special guest. Speaking about bringing people in, Smart Mark Sterling and VSK.
SK.
And, this guy's been all over AEW television. We all know Mark's reputation. He's got the
He's
highest
one of the
client.
best friends of controversial former beloved star Matt Cardona,
Oh, yeah.
Kurt Hawkins,
AEW's former champion. He played with the toys like Versace,
Brian
collecting
Myers. I mean,
both of them. He's friends with both, and he does all that on the
and he
podcast.
managed an up and coming future female sensational superstar Jade Carhill.
Oh, yeah.
And he's managed VSK, and they were making announcements about the tag division about how much he hates Maine. But why did he come all the way if he hated Maine so
Oh, who
much?
knows? And he
He's
wanted he
crazy, that
wanted
lawyer,
opponent. He
smart
asked
mark.
for an opponent, and he got an opponent. The main event came out.
Returning from this 5-star match they put on in Patience and the Virtue with the Sea Stars, one of my favorite matches to
That
date.
was, and it was
Jay
one of mine
Lyon
too.
and ringleader Midas, they're great to the fans. They're like great people too. It's always worth it to come support them.
Oh yes, and we saw them not too far back at Cali,
And the Lion loves
but
steak this time around.
they did. They didn't do the through the loop people called for it, but they didn't. They had a new little thing, and ringleader
VSK and Smart
ringleader
Mark were
had
trying
him.
to kill it.
Ringleader had him fall on the stake, and then threw the stake at him, and he jumped and did a flip. It was great onto the outside. What a great move! And it always is great to see these guys. They get the crowd going. They're one of the best tag teams in the industry to date right now. I love to see these guys versus the Young Bucks.
Oh, I
I
love it.
mean, something like that.
Or
It
those
could
guys
happen.
versus Jurassic Express or the Lucha Bros, the
They should be
AEW
on. They
tag team.
should be on more AEW television. I know they've been on there. They should be on there more. Um, a lot more. But yes. And they took the victory against VSK and Smart Mark. And like I
And they
said,
did whatever it takes to avoid losing to main event. Get it, Versace? Whatever it takes.
oh yeah, and and like I said, it was a good surprise. It was a fun time. I'm glad that they were there at the anniversary show, and it was a good extra match to have happen right before the main event of the evening.
And it is for the Limitless World Championship.
Another VSW sponsored match as well. You had the winner of the Vacation Land Cup
Two-time winner, I might add.
and former Limitless World Champion,
The
former.
alternative, he ain't retrosexual anymore. Anthony Green, formerly known as Artist Gray, versus the Red Death, the teammate of 2.0 and the best friend of Kevin Blackwood, the Limitless and AEW standout, Red Death Daniel Garcia.
He's been one of my favorite champions. I'm not a fan of face champions. I've always liked heel champions. Even when Slaughter had his run back in the 90s, I loved it. But not since then have I seen such a fierce champion as Red Death. He was the perfect champion. And yes, he's right. He's
And
never left us.
AG, since he went to NXT before he got cut as August Gray, really learned a lot of technical move styles, I
Oh,
feel like.
he's a totally new wrestler than the person
And if
that
you're
left.
gonna beat Red Death, you gotta be really good at submission moves because that's his style.
Exactly, and like I said, he's not the same Anthony Green that left us. He is definitely somebody new. He's better, much better. Um, he's probably one of the top talent in New England, but that is without being said. Then there's Red Death Garcia. Garcia is, in my eyes, still one of the number one wrestlers in the nation. It did go to draw against him and Wheeler Yuta, and a 1 hour draw, and a
In that sauna in the
500
H2O
degree
center.
sauna of the H2O sauna where I almost burned my cooked alive. And he defended and he fought with honor for that. Um, this kid has beaten JD Drake twice. He has defended his title multiple times. He is wonderful. He had already beaten Anthony Green once, during Undeniable. And it's just maybe it wasn't his night. I don't know, but Anthony Green did get the victory. Now Anthony Green is a great wrestler. Like I said, he's been killing it all over New England. He had a few losses, but most of the time he's won. Okay, he's beaten all sorts of new talent that he didn't get to wrestle, like Killjoy and other guys.
And he faced Masha Slamovich and lost to her at
He
VXS.
did. I don't know how he did against MV Young. Um, at that match at Blizzard, but I do know that he's fought in a handful of new talent. And this was his second time fighting Garcia as well. The only difference, like I said, is two things. Blackwood was not there. When Blackwood did try to come out, I don't know what his intent was. Anthony
They
Green
exchanged
super.
a few super kicks and
I
it
don't
didn't
know.
work out.
Anthony Green super kicked him and he was out like a light. Done. Second of all, he never even made it there. Second of all, like I said, Daniel Garcia at the end after being beaten, I don't know. I thought he was gonna run away with the title. He looked upset. He was upset, but he handed the title to Green and said, "Here, it's yours." And he walked out.
And the crowd went so
He gave
nuts.
the fans peace signs, and I don't know when we're gonna see Red Death again. I just don't. But all I do know is that when Anthony Green was right there, we had a prestigious moment. The
Without losing their best friend John Albert, fresh off getting
prestigious
embarrassed.
came out
They all went to
and
try and jump in. Then
they
AC
jumped.
Baby came to try and
Ace
make the save.
Ace, the savior of Limitless, came out again to try to make the save, and
Dun
then
dun 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 dun.
Dirty Dango came out,
Dun.
and we saw them clear house of the prestigious crew.
We
And
can say the prestigious now since our friend isn't
what's
there
Alba
anymore.
gonna say? What's Alba gonna do from Florida? Nothing. He has no power there. And like I said, that's gonna set up the Herman main event. I don't know if that's the main. Yeah, I think it is the Herman main event.
A
It'll be
trios
it'll be a
match
trios
between
match with
prestigious
Dirty Dango, Ace Romero, Anthony
Anthony
Green
Green.
versus prestigious of
It's going to be hard for us at the
BRG, Shane
VSW to get
Thomas,
to. But please, if you
and
live in
Matt
Maine,
Daniels.
please go to that area and support Randy outside of Yarmouth.
Oh, I'm sure it's gonna sell out, dude. It's gonna sell out like all their shows sell out. And who knows? Maybe we do get out there. You never know. Never know what can happen in the wild world of
But
wrestling.
we will be there on the 23rd for some fresh blood
That
Versace.
is right. And people remember tickets on sale this Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You're gonna want to get those. They go fast. What is it, like 2 minutes that the
Not
front
even
row sells? 1 minute?
1 minute.
30 seconds?
Yeah, maybe even that.
I don't even know. We haven't been able to get front row for a couple of shows now, so I don't know. It goes fast. But we will try that again. If not, get general and go early. That's all I can recommend. But get to it. Get to Limitless Wrestling no matter what. It's a show you're not going to want to miss ever.
Especially since there'll be whole new storylines,
All
whole
new
new
storylines,
talent.
all new talent being introduced, all new people, plus some old fan favorites. Plus, it is Limitless. There's always something going on. And we're going to see a lot of great things. We have a new champion, Anthony Green. And who is he going to defend?
You could have Alec Price. You could have JT Dunn. You could have Davey Ian.
You could have Dirty Dango. You could have anybody.
He might be more than just a one-off Dirty Dango.
We don't know. Anything can happen at Limitless Wrestling, and anything will happen. So definitely got to stay tuned in for that. Thank you, everybody, for listening.